Hello, everybody out there in the world with headphones and ears and speakers. You're listening to the Never Heard of It podcast. Happy to have you as always. I am Sean Harwell, joined once again for the first time, the last time, all the times, by a co-host, Mr.
Doctor.
Sorry, damn it. God.
Yeah.
Should we start over?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
Sorry.
I'm not one of those people who really is a stickler for it, but it is Doctor. Craig Moorhead, and we're here to talk some more 1985. In case you were worried that we had run out of things to talk about from 1985, we haven't.
We're not even close, and we're going to get to that in a second, as it dawned on me when I found some trivia. But yes, if you haven't got all caught up, go find those back episodes, and we'll be happy and waiting for you. When you do, we talked about not Desperately Seeking Susan last time, but that was the time before. But we did Spies Like Us, Into the Night, Double Barrel, John Landis Shotgun. That was an interesting time, and I don't think they'll be represented in tonight's discussion.
No.
But Craig, why don't you tell people where they can find us online if they want to do that insane thing?
Well, the number one thing you can do is you can find us at neverheardpodcast.com. And from there, you can pretty much find us anywhere else because we are on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook. You can come and talk to us on Facebook all you like. I set up a thing a little while ago for people to let us know if we make any mistakes in the cast.
Nobody said anything, right?
Because we don't research anything. Yeah, but no one said a thing. And therefore, we must be 100% right.
There's no other way to interpret that, really.
No. So at least that feels good to know that all we're doing is putting out the clearest, the best quality information.
And Craig,
yeah,
that exactly right there is why you and I are going to the Oscars tonight, baby.
Dun, 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 dun. But there's no Oscars theme, is there?
It's the technical Oscars.
Oh. Yeah, they definitely don't have a
just got disappointed, yeah.
They just have music. Yeah.
No, we're going to talk about the Academy Awards from 1985, which obviously the event was held in 1986. And we just thought that would be a good way to handle some more of these movies that we haven't got to yet. And embarrassingly, probably at the top of the list is the movie that won Best Picture for this year, as we've mentioned before. But before we go completely down that rabbit hole, I did want to start by asking you, Craig, do you know why the Academy Awards are called the Oscar?
As I understand it, it has something to do with Sesame Street. Now, let me break this down for you. 1969, the Oscar, I don't know.
Yeah, that's not right.
Yeah.
You had me for a second, and I was like, really? No, but I don't know. I found myself wondering that question today, so I looked it up.
Yeah.
And sure enough, there are two noted answers. One of which is tied to a biography of Betty Davis, where she claims that she came up with the name Oscar because her first husband, that was his name, Harmon Oscar Nelson. There was a resemblance there. And then another one is the Academy's executive secretary, Margaret Herrick, saw the award. And this is weird, too, because this one's attributed to 1931 and referred to it as saying it looked like her Uncle Oscar. And there's even like a columnist noted as picking up on that at the time. But then there's another thing I saw that said, well, I guess that does work out time-wise, but that Walt Disney mentioned it at the Academy Awards in his acceptance speech in 1932. So, if it did catch on in 31, I guess it was a pretty quick turnaround. But
it's a great story.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. It might be one of those where there will never just be a definitive answer. Although I like yours probably better than both of those other ones. So we'll just go with that.
It makes
Oscar the Grouch.
Sense.
It does.
Yeah.
It does in a way. In a way, it certainly does. But the show that year took place on March 24th, 1986. Did you see who hosted it, Craig?
Yeah.
Surprising, right?
It's so surprising that I completely forgot Jack Lemmon.
No, that's not true. It was Alan Alda, Jane Fonda, and Robin Williams.
Oh, no, I was looking at 1985.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So everything you looked up is wrong. That's cool.
See, that's the kind of thing where someone would write in and they could say, just as an example.
Yeah, but it feels like Jack Lemmon, he should be hosting the Oscars, right?
Oh,
yeah.
man, it would be great. Yeah.
So I think this was, Alda and Robin Williams. This is their first time. Jane Fonda had done it before in 1977.
Right.
which that year will come back into play. Some good musical tunes performed at this year's Oscars by none other than Terry Garr.
Oh,
Craig,
love it.
I know you got excited today because we talked about this already, but Huey Lewis and the News, The Power of Love, was
Very excited
nominated
about that. Yes.
for Best Song. They performed it there. Lionel Richie was there. Barbara Streisand sang. They did a tribute to MGM, the musical era. So you had Debbie Reynolds, Sid Charisse, and others. Presenters, you had Richard Dreyfuss. You got Molly Ringwald was there this year, of course. Ali Sheedy, Steve Guttenberg, Michael J. Fox, Rebecca De Mornay. You also had like Audrey Hepburn was there, Bob Hope, Gene Kelly, and one that both of us got excited about was Michael Winslow, the sound effects guy from Police Academy.
Now that's a star.
Love it. Gotta go find that clip. We'll be posting that for sure. And then I thought most impressively, and I watched this one, was they had John Huston, Akira Kurosawa, and Billy Wilder present the Best Picture award.
That's great.
Yeah, is also kind of interesting because John Huston was nominated himself for Best Director, and his movie Prizzi's Honor was nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
But, as we know, Out of Africa won. Sidney Pollack was the lone producer to accept the award that year. Guess how long his speech was? I watched it.
How long?
15 seconds,
What did
that.
he say?
Yeah, it was. He said, "Thanks. I don't know what else to say. If I forgot anybody, sorry. It's been a crazy night." That was about it. Off the stage. Good night. We're done. Which
Love that guy.
I think now, yeah, it's like, man, we would appreciate that, right?
But because he didn't thank enough people, it's probably why we don't have an Out of Africa 2. Think about it.
Could be.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That might make sense or it might not because I haven't seen that movie. I don't really know anything about it still. So yeah, the show itself was actually interestingly produced by Stanley Donen, who is well known as the choreographer and director of Singing in the Rain, Funny Face, Damn Yankee, Charade, etc. And he was brought in to kind of help revive the show. I think reviews and ratings had been down. And that did not go according to plan because it saw a 2% decrease. And at the time, it earned the lowest viewership for an Academy Awards telecast ever. So,
Wow. So it's not really a new trend, I guess. I feel like every year they kind of say, boy, the numbers are even lower this year. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, I found some reviews to that effect, Craig, and then we'll get right to the nominees here. So somebody from the San Francisco Chronicle said, there's some good stuff, good snarky stuff here. Quote, last night's sustained release Oscar pill moved faster through the system than most. But from a standpoint of taste, it was the worst in years.
Wow.
Referring to the trio of hosts, said that together they immediately placed a fatal suggestion in the viewer's mind that there must be a shortage of elegant people in the movie business today, a suspicion that was substantiated again and again throughout this disjointed and unattractive program.
Wow.
Yeah, Gene Siskel was a little kinder, at least to Robin Williams, and this was the one I thought was just kind of interesting because he basically said that, well, after the monologue and sort of like some fun stuff and good jokes from Robin Williams, it just kind of went back into its old habits of being sort of like this boring, slow thing that's clearly designed to entertain the people in the building more than the people watching at home.
Right.
And I don't think that has necessarily changed that much over the years.
No. We're up to Best Actor, so let's see which one you really, really like.
Okay, I'm going to start right at the top here.
Okay.
Actor in a leading role. The nominees were William Hurt for Kiss of the Spider Woman, Harrison Ford for Witness, James Garner for Murphy's Romance, Jack Nicholson for Prizzi's Honor, and Jon Voight for Runaway Train. The winner. Oh, you want to guess?
Jon Voight, Runaway Train.
That's not true. That's not right. Yeah. The winner. Although, man, I personally would have loved James Garner. And I've never even seen that movie.
Oh, yeah.
William Hurt for Kiss of the Spider Woman. Which I'm sure is great. I've never seen that movie either.
I've only seen pieces of it. Yeah, it's on the to-do list, but I do like that actor. And of note, I think in this category, would you believe that's the first nomination for Harrison Ford?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Would you really believe that's the first nomination for James Garner?
That's harder to believe, but
Yeah,
I
it
guess
was.
That's definitely true.
It
Boy,
might
that's
have been the
rough.
only one he got, too. I could be wrong about that. I think I read that. So we'll just assume that it's true. Come on.
I'll take it at face value.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Okay, so our next one, actor in a supporting role.
Oh, man.
Right?
This is tough.
We've got
Yeah,
Donna
this is
Michi in Cocoon, Klaus Maria Brandauer
Very good.
out of Africa, and that pronunciation, by the way, is perfect.
Spot on.
William Hickey for Prizzi's Honor. That guy's great. Robert Loggia for Jagged Edge. He's also great. Eric Roberts, great. Runaway Train. Who's the winner, Sean?
Craig, it's Don Amici from Cocoon.
Donna Michi. That's right.
Yeah, I was
Very
trying to think
good,
of something clever to say about the fact that, I'm familiar with some of these actors, much less some of the other ones, and can't picture really any of them from any of these movies, which is sad. Sad, but that happens sometimes in a year. But yeah, Don Amici, big win for him. A lot of people kind of considered that one of those like sentimental career Oscars of sort. He was 77, I think, at the time, and would die 7 years later. So, a very nice reward for a late chapter in his career.
Absolutely. That guy was, in so many of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
But let's move on to actress in a leading role.
Okay.
The nominees are Whoopi Goldberg for The Color Purple, Anne Bancroft for Agnes of God, Geraldine Page for The Trip to Bountiful, Jessica Lange for Sweet Dreams, and Meryl Streep for Out of Africa. Sean, who's the winner for this year, for this category?
I realized today that Sweet Dreams is a movie about Patsy Cline.
Oh,
And so, Jessica Lange played Patsy Cline. So I hope it's that. That's what it is. I'm going to go ahead and say it. That's
Jessica
what it was.
Lange?
Yeah.
You'd be wrong, Sean. It was Geraldine Page for The Trip to Bountiful. Never seen it. Never even watched it once.
I've seen pieces of this movie as well. There was a connection to one of our professors at film school, as you recall.
Yeah.
Geraldine Page, though, here's another one where I thought, what I knew of this was, this was definitely another sort of like career Oscar rewarding her late in her life. And maybe you could make the case, but she was only 60 at the time of this. I assumed she was quite a bit older than that, and sadly only lived 2 more years, but she'd been nominated, I think, 7 times prior to this.
Oh, really?
So, I had no clue. So that's a lot. And never won. And I did watch some of her acceptance speech, and F. Murray Abraham presented her the award and said that she was the best living actor in the English language. So that's some high praise right there.
That is very high praise.
It came across as a little pretentious, but, it was high praise. Yeah.
Hey,
Sally
man, that's
Area.
1985.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different time, Sean.
It was, wasn't it?
Off the top of your head, do you know another movie that she was in?
Interiors, Woody Allen's Interiors.
Oh, okay.
And there's a couple more. Dang it. Yeah, I'm blanking on them. Sorry.
Yeah, no, she's one of those.
But she's a bit of a trivia answer in some ways because of this win, I think,
Yeah.
Especially, that's some tough competition right there, man.
It is tough competition,
Yeah,
Sean. And you
huge.
know what else is tough competition? Is the actress in a supporting role category.
Oh, no, that one was way easier. Yeah.
Okay, you're right. You're right.
No, it's
that was
not.
a cakewalk.
Yeah.
So in this one, we've got Oprah Winfrey for The Color Purple,
Yeah, Oprah.
Meg Tilly for Agnes of God, which I totally forgot Meg Tilly was nominated for an Oscar.
I know, I got to see that.
Yeah. Amy Madigan for Twice in a Lifetime, Margaret Avery for The Color Purple, and Angelica Houston for Prizzi's Honor. What do you think?
It's Angelica Houston, Craig, of course.
That's what it is, Sean.
Do you have any idea what Twice in a Lifetime is about, by the way?
Not at all. Not
Not
at
a clue.
all.
Me either. Me either.
I can actually picture Amy Madigan's face, but I have no idea what that movie's about. So,
Fun fact on this one, Craig.
yeah.
Angelica Houston, first person to win an Oscar in a movie directed by her own father, who, by the way, had won an Oscar in 1948, I believe, for directing The Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
Nice.
Guess what else? Not what else he won an Oscar, but guess what else about this little family?
What else? They were from Houston, Texas.
They were not from Houston, Texas. Not even
Okay.
spelled the same, but good guess.
True.
Her grandfather, Walter Houston, won an Oscar, too, for supporting actor in Sierra Madre. So
Oh, wow.
I think that completes the triumvirate there for that family.
Yeah.
And they didn't make another movie after that.
Man, they probably just sat around and clinked those Oscars together and laughed.
That's what they do. Yep.
A lot of evenings just doing that.
Yeah.
Good for them.
All right. What do you want to talk about next?
Well, should I do the art direction category? It's a
Well,
worthy
let me know who
category.
won, because I'm just going to assume it was Brazil, right? It had to be Brazil.
Yeah, it wasn't. The winner was Out of Africa.
Wait a second. Was that shot on a soundstage? Did they
No.
recreate Africa?
They no parts of it.
Okay.
Most of it
that
was matte
that's-
paintings.
that
a lot of people
explains
don't know that.
That explains why it won. Yeah, no, definitely in the snubs category, as at least the way this year was written about, Brazil certainly is mentioned as one that should have won in this category, if not Kurosawa's Ran as well. Was the feeling at the time, and perhaps certainly years later. What do you got for me next?
Cinematography, Sean. So
Okay. Cameras,
we've
good.
got our nominees. Our nominees are John Seal for Witness, whole mess of guys for Ron. Mm-hmm. That I'm just not going to brutalize their names right now.
Let's
But go watch Ron and go read the credits. Murphy's Romance, William A. Fraker. The Color Purple, Alan Davio. See, now I've brutalized somebody else's name. But the winner of this category, Sean, was David Watkin for Out of Africa.
Yeah, I say that a lot. Again, I don't know. The poster looks pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ron as well. They thought this was a category where perhaps that might win. Didn't happen, and that's that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Do think Private Resort got snubbed personally.
Oh, yeah, that was
But,
beautiful.
maybe they got nominated in the next category. What's the next one?
Well, costume design. I'm sorry to say Private Resort's not in here.
Okay, who won costume design?
Ron was the
Okay.
winner of costume design.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Good costumes
from what
there.
I've seen of it.
Right.
Although I would imagine that maybe this was a category where they thought Color Purple might do well.
Indeed.
But as we'll find out in a second, Color Purple did not do well at all in any category. But who's next? Something
Well, the next
boring,
category
right?
is directing.
Oh, God, boring. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we've got Peter Weir for Witness. We've got Akira Kurosawa for Ron. We've got John Huston for Prizzi's Honor. We've got Steven Spielberg. Wait a second. We don't. We've got Kiss of the Spider Woman, directed by Hector Babenco.
Good enough.
Totally good pronunciation. And, of course, Sidney Pollack won for Out of Africa.
I think the big news there is, Spielberg, only one of the Best Picture nominees that did not also receive a Best Director nomination. He had been nominated 3 times prior this year, and would not win until 1993, of course. What I read was that a lot of the thinking was that Kurosawa took what might have gone to him as far as a nomination, which I would imagine Spielberg is okay with.
Sure.
You would hope so.
But there wasn't like a campaign afoot. There wasn't something against Spielberg. Like he wasn't on the outs this year.
I don't think so. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. I don't know. Maybe people thought Color Purple was trying a little too hard.
Yeah.
For him to win an Oscar. People have that sentiment sometimes about people who transition to drama from other genres. Mm-hmm. But obviously, that's a pretty impressive group of people right there. And I did not really notice. I think Witness, that was Peter Weir's first Hollywood production. So
yeah,
I love that guy. Nice to see him nominated there. What other categories should we talk about here? Maybe documentary feature. Who won that?
We've got documentary feature. The winner was Broken Rainbow, producers Maria Florio and Victoria Mudd.
Well, congratulations to them. I've not heard of any of these documentaries that were nominated that year, although there is a Ken Burns documentary, The Statue of Liberty, that was nominated as well.
Indeed.
Now, the most important category to you, obviously, editing.
Film editing, which should be a much larger category.
Should be the last one of the evening.
This is a tee-up. This is a short episode, so I won't get into it. But our winner for this year was Witness, edited by Tom Noble. Other movies nominated were A Chorus Line, Out of Africa, which apparently required 4 people to edit.
A lot of folks, man. Yeah.
Prizzi's Honor and Runaway Train edited by just one poor bastard. So Witness won film editing, Sean.
I love the movie. I haven't seen it in a while. Can't really comment on the editing, although if it's a good movie, that means I think it was edited well.
There are definitely more than 2 shots. I remember that.
Yeah. A little surprised that Out of Africa did not take this one, just given the Runaway sort of success it was having this evening.
Yeah,
So, yeah, a bit of surprise there.
indeed.
Foreign language film looks like, who won that?
The Official Story. The entire country of Argentina won The Official Story, it
Wow,
says.
congrats to Argentina, man.
Yeah,
That's
man.
great. Another category where, just need to do some due diligence and learn about these movies because I've not heard of any of them.
Well, I would say that 3 Men in a Cradle should sound somewhat familiar.
It does, but probably not in the way that they would like.
Right.
The people that made
But and When Father Was Away on Business, made by our friend, what's his face?
it. Is that the Costa Rica movie?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, that
But
one
haven't seen
definitely
it. I mean, I haven't seen a
man,
frame of it.
We got to check that out.
Yeah.
Now, who won Best Makeup that year? Was it Revlon?
No, it was Avon.
Sounds really
It's
dismissive.
always Avon.
Sorry.
Yeah. No. Makeup artists are very important, as you know, Sean.
Mhm.
And this year, although Color Purple and Remo Williams were up for Oscars for makeup, Mask was the eventual winner, which makes sense.
It does, although, man, I don't know. We'll find out if there was a makeup effects category, but come on, man. Fright Night,
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street 2, there's a lot of good effects makeup going around that year.
There was a little too much to ignore.
I remember liking Mask, and obviously that's a pretty important bit of makeup in that one for sure on the character of Rocky. So looks like original score is next.
The winner of that would be Out of Africa by John Barry.
Spies Like Us was not.
No Spies Like Us.
Wait, that not the score. I'm thinking of the song. That obviously got nominated for best song. So we'll get to that. Is that next? John Barry's score, Out of Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the original song is next. Here are our nominees. Chorus line, the song Surprise, Surprise in the chorus line. White Knights, Separate Lives. I don't remember that one at all. I thought it was going to be the Power of Love from Back to the Future.
Yes.
Which is just a fantastic song. Color Purple's song Miss Seeley's Blues, which was by Quincy Jones.
Yeah, of course.
The lyrics, some lyrics by Lionel Richie even.
Mm-hmm.
But the winner, if I may, Sean, is Say You, Say Me, sung and lyrics written, music, everything, written by Lionel Richie.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty big song.
Big song.
And I'm going to go out on a limb and just say it was better than Spies Like Us.
Yeah. What about Power of Love? You like it better than Power of Love? No.
I'd say I've given Power of Love many more spins than Say You, Say Me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like Power of Love is probably the better song out of the two, but...
To be debated. I know that song by Lionel Richie, of course. Did not place it with the movie White Knights. It's still one I need to see, and definitely I think we'll get to it at some point, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
I did read that there were some that I apparently thought Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds was a bit of a snub in this category.
Oh, yeah.
But... there's so many. I mean, obviously, just think about the movies that we've talked about. Like every single one of them. Fright Night has a song in it called Fright.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much pop music in these movies
Absolutely.
this year that it's probably hard to pick
Pick
one.
Yeah.
Now, the way this website works, they've got Best Picture next, and I think maybe let's do a couple other categories real quick. Sound, Out of Africa won. Sound effects editing. Hey, Back to the Future won, and this is kind of a fun category because that's where, yes, Rambo First Blood Part 2 got a nomination this year, and it was in this category, along with Lady Hawk. And, Back to the Future pulled that home. Visual effects went to Cocoon this year. That was another one where they were up against Return to Oz and Young Sherlock Holmes. Definitely, I think, in hindsight, Young Sherlock Holmes is notable because of the use of CGI and being one of the initiators in that. So there's certainly some people would like to rewrite the history book and give the Oscar to that, perhaps.
Yeah.
Screenplays, who cares, right?
Who cares? These things are written? I don't get it.
Yeah. But adapted is Out of Africa again. I mean, that's a huge category right there. It's a lot of names we've already talked about. Color Purple, Kiss the Spider-Woman, Prizzi's Honor, Trip to Bountiful. But yeah, we'll have to watch Out of Africa and let you know if they got that one right. But original screenplay, I think it's always a fun category. And that is the category where usually a popular movie can sneak in and sometimes win. Or a movie that maybe doesn't get nominated in a lot of other categories. And I think this year, this is where we see Back to the Future and Brazil both get nominated for Best Original Screenplay. And Woody Allen, of course, he's always there, it seems like. Purple Rose of Cairo, along with The Official Story, which won the Best Foreign Oscar. But the winner was Craig.
I was the winner?
It was Craig Moorhead for Witness.
Wow. Yes, Witness by Earl W. Wallace and William Kelly, looks like.
I don't have a problem with that, right? You know,
not at all. That's really one of the tightest stories.
I
love the way that movie plays out.
Strong movie, but I do feel like there could have been so many that could have gone in there. Even Breakfast Club, man. I think that's a really well written movie. But of course, this all builds to the big Kahuna, Best Picture, which we already know who won. Out of Africa, of course. The other nominees, did we say them already? We should say them again.
We should say them at least once.
Okay.
Oh.
Color Purple, Kiss of the Spider-Woman, Prizzi's Honor, Witness. Craig, I got some fun facts for you.
Oh, I love fun facts.
So, of these 5 Best Picture nominees, 3 were from the top 10 at the box office that year. That's impressive.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. The average gross of these 5 movies was $58 million, which at the time that's pretty good too. In comparison, I looked this up last year, Box Office Mojo. Not a single flick from the top 13 got nominated for Best Picture, and they do more. There were 9 movies nominated, if I remember correctly, right? So they do more.
Yeah.
None of the most popular movies of the year made it. The average gross of the nominees, and again, there were more, but was $77 million. So that's not a huge jump between these 2 years. And the winner, of course, after that complete debacle was Moonlight, which was 92nd at the box office that year. So, yeah, I don't know how to read that. You know, the Oscars get criticized a lot by picking movies that, are not necessarily ones that are tearing up the box office or really pulling in sort of the popular opinion polls.
Right.
And yeah, maybe that has changed over. I don't know. Maybe this bears that out, or it's just, if Out of Africa were released today, or The Color Purple, would that finish in the top 5 in the top 10 of the year?
That is a good question.
I don't know. It's tough to say.
And I always kind of feel like the Oscars, in a way, are always is like this big ship that's always adjusting. Yeah. Like every year, it never feels like it's out ahead of anything. It's just always like, oh, we gotta fix this part of our thing, and we gotta fix that part. Like, so, yeah, I don't know. It seems like they're very reactive.
Yeah, and also just to reiterate how strong of a year this was. So there were 18 movies that had multiple nomination, and only 3 of those won multiple awards. But I think of the 18 movies that had multiple nominations, 0 have been talked about on our podcast in this series. And we're 9-10 episodes into this thing? Mm-hmm. I mean, we've covered some classics, right? Some stone cold classics and extremely popular, well-loved movies. 0 nominations for any of them. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. So, I mean, certainly, I try not to get upset by the Oscars anymore when something wins that I don't like, or when a movie doesn't get nominated that I feel like it should, because I do think over time it's not a huge indicator of what, is going to be considered timeless necessarily. Right. And so, I just thought that was kind of interesting. I think, as we mentioned before, maybe one of the biggest stories of the entire event here was that The Color Purple, Craig, first PG-13 film to be nominated for Best Picture. Mm-hmm. 11 nominations, 0 wins, and that's only happened once before, and that was the movie The Turning Point in 1977. Obviously, Star Wars and Annie Hall did pretty well that year. And so, I don't know. I'm interested to watch that movie again. I remember liking it, but it clearly did not bring home the bacon. But the good to kind of come out of that is, this was only the second time I read that up to this point, 3 of, any of the acting nominees were African American. Now, all of them lost, but, you could say maybe there's some progress there. And John Hurt Swin, that's the first time a performer was awarded for playing a gay character. So that's a big deal in hindsight for sure. And then Paul Newman got the honorary Oscar this year, and that's another big story of the night. Obviously, that's a big deal. And, it was for his career. And even, I think from 58 to 82, he had been nominated 6 times for Best Actor, lost each time. And then guess what happened the year after this year's Oscars, Craig?
Was that
it's on the tip of your tongue. You know it.
Color Money?
Yep, he won. So
nice.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah. Also learned that he got 4 nominations for his directorial movie, which I don't know. It doesn't say debut here, so I'm not sure about this, but a movie called Rachel from '68, which I've never heard of.
Oh, wow.
But that got nominated for Best Picture. And, he directed that. So that might be something we'll have to look at as well.
That guy was a powerhouse.
He was a powerhouse. Now, I'll just ask you, and we'll wrap this up, Buzz. I mean, is there any sort of, I don't know, it's kind of hard for me to even pinpoint, like, this movie should have got nominated instead of some of these. I don't know. Is there anything you feel really strongly about that this was a missed opportunity for the Academy to recognize X movie, performer, anything?
I mean, it's always that thing of like, it kind of feels like the quote unquote important movies are represented there.
Yeah, it does. And yet, as we're going to get to at some point, hopefully, you got Brazil, you got Blood Simple, you got Scorsese's After Hours. I mean, there's some big movies by big name directors that were nowhere really near the podium acceptance speeches. I would have loved.
I'll say this: this certainly isn't the end all be all of snubbed movies this year. And honestly, I haven't even seen the movie, so I don't know.
Nope, go ahead and say it. Yeah, you know exactly. You know what you're doing. Yeah.
But it's. I feel like it's been talked about so much since it came out. To Live and Die in L.A. Mm-hmm. I could totally be wrong, but it seems that one kind of feels like maybe it could have been something that was nominated. But again, I've never seen it. Maybe it's just like a cop procedural that's really good, but it seems like, I don't know, I've just heard a ton about that. What about you?
Yeah, I've seen that, and it might fit your description, actually. I mean, I want to see, I'll have to see it again to really say as far as like comparatively if it's better or worse than anything this year. But yeah, I mean, I definitely remember liking it. For me, it's really hard not to, at this point, like think that John Hughes shouldn't have been nominated. But I don't know where you fit him in there. I mean, that's really tough, Yeah. I mean, that's some really steep competition, especially in that director category. I mean, Spielberg's not even getting nominated. But man, I mean, even like for best screenplay, that would have been pretty interesting to see Breakfast Club get nominated for best original. It would have been nice.
It really would have, and honestly, that's. I mean, that was my oversight just now. I mean, that script
easy enough
for what is ostensibly a teen movie that's all set pretty much in a room. That's pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah,
that's a really good screenplay
for sure. And then it's been a while since I've seen it. But I would love to see some favoritism given to After Hours, I guess, because I think that's a really strong Scorsese. And like the people that know Scorsese and like are the film nerds know that that's a really good movie. But I don't think the general public does. And even still, like I don't feel like it's mentioned in the same breath as some of the great films that he's done. Whereas maybe if it got like if he had gotten a nomination for that this year, I think that would have been a big deal, and I think it would have
for sure
like catapulted that movie perhaps a little further into the memory banks for folks or public conscience. So, yeah, those are my picks. But anyway, we could be completely wrong once we finally watch Out of Africa. And that's my question. You know what? If you've ever seen Out of Africa, let me know, because I don't know a damn person who's watched this movie. So just let me. I just want to know if you're out there listening right now and you've seen it. Call us 1-800-OUT-OF-AFRICA.
Just wait for all the tones to beep through.
Yep. That's it. That's all. Come back next time. We're going to talk about some of the Best Picture nominees here. We're not sure exactly how or which ones and what capacity. We'll figure that out. Trust us. And come back and check that out.
And Merry Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
A little early.
Never too early.